So the weather is changing fast. You can see now we got beanie weather on. It's, getting down into the 30s at night and maybe 40s, 50s. A couple days this week's going to be up in the 60s, but I'm on a crunch here to get this second concrete pour. You've seen the videos from the last one. Guys did a great job. I got super busy at work, and it's just one of those things where you just keep planning for the future. So it started out just being a regular concrete pour, and then you're like, well, what if I want to do this in the future? What if I want to do that? So I'm going to turn the camera around. We're going to talk about just, if you're going to do it right, because once you have this concrete in there, there's nothing you can do about it. This is another thing that I learned my lesson. If you watched the last video, we dumped probably close to 2 yards of concrete over the hill. I didn't have enough prepped. So I have this prepped as a wash station area for the horses. Got a yard hydrant, hitching post, stuff like that. So I got to spread this gravel around. I'm going to get some wire in there. If I have enough there, I'll pour the whole thing. If I don't have enough, I'll move this board. And I might actually make one more extra pour just in case. I'd rather use it than lose it. So in here, this is the 12 by 60 pad, and it turned out great. I prepped all this. Didn't think it was any point in videoing this because you watch me prep this. So what I did do last minute is put in-floor heat in here. And that is something that I did a bunch of videos of the house using heat sheet product through Thermo Supply, and hands down, that is the better way to go. This is, I just cleaned out the shop, had a bunch of material left over from jobs, so I did 2 layers of double bubble, and then I did the old school method. I had 1,000 feet of in-floor heat tubing left over, so me and my one guy zip tied all these to all this wire mesh, and then I did a little bit of a plumbing layout. This is all future stuff, so I don't know how much it's all going to get used now, but it's here if I ever need it. Feed room, tack room, possibly a bathroom, but it's one of those things, you got to do it before the concrete's in. This is a wash stall area for the horses. Just went and picked up a 1x1 catch basin from Lowe's and set it all with a laser. There's a 1/2-inch slope here, and I had this all laid out coming down through, and 2 pipes. One just for here, that's going to discharge over the hill, and then I have a sewage pipe just stubbed out there, so if we do end up hooking up the sewage someday, it's outside the building. So let me just tell you, the heat sheet stuff is by far worth buying it. There's no question about it. Glenn and I, the guy that works with me, we did this. We had almost 400 zip ties that we had to zip tie through all these loops, and that's just a 30 by 12 foot 6 area. So the heat sheet, I'll leave a description down below. Whenever Brandon and I did it, I did most of that house by myself, where this here, me and Glenn were down on our hands, knees, zip tying it. I mean, it was brutal. Plus the heat sheet pushes the tubing down into the insulation, so there's less of a chance of cutting it when you cut your expansion joints. So I am a little concerned about that. I'm going to have to be real careful when I cut these expansion joints that I don't run the saw through. You can't see it now because I did put this expansion joint 1/4-inch rubber, but if you look real close here, I don't know if you can see it with the camera, I cut these relief joints and they cracked. Right, I cut all these relief joints. So kudos to those guys. They told me get on it ASAP, don't wait. And everywhere where I cut these relief joints, they cracked right where they're supposed to. Concrete is designed to crack, controlled cracking. That's why they have you cut these relief joints in with a quickie saw. So I'm going to finish throwing some wire and stuff in here, and the way this all lays out, weather permitting, we're hoping to get this poured this coming weekend. So this video is probably going to roll into that video because we're not going to show a whole bunch of the same stuff back-to-back videos. Pouring concrete. We'll just see different techniques of going around these posts here. I have posts holding up the in-floor heat. I have a future for a shower, and then these are for toilet, plumbing stack, and a vent, stuff like that. So it's going to be a little bit more finesse in this concrete pour, because this one here I had pitched a 1/2 inch just to get the water to run away. This here I set completely level with a laser and then pulled strings, and right here is a 12-foot span where it's going to have 1/2 inch fall down to that drain, so whenever we wash up the horses, the water doesn't run out into the hallway, is the point of having the wash stall area, so it's contained. So it's going to be a little bit more finesse. I am going to close all this up. It's not supposed to rain Saturday, but I am probably going to bring a heat up in here. If these guys want heat on, I'll heat the place up. I got I think it's 350,000 BTU heater. We'll blow it in here, and I'll make it like 60, 70 degrees in here if they want. So we're going to throw some wire in here, and then we're going to move outside. So I'm just kind of overlapping them one way, and then I'll cut some finishers on here. So I do have a lot of different wire, different sizes. Like I said, these last projects is like, you know, a little bit of a bath salts of material. I have some new wire, some old wire. So I'm going to get some finishers on there, and then we'll cut these runners down through here and try to maximize my yield on all this product so I don't have to go buy any more. So I'm going to get a tape measure. So I'm just going to get the old bolt cutters and cut this 5-foot piece. I have a 2-foot piece there. This is 5 foot. So we're going to cut it in half and overlap it a little bit. All right, so I got all the wire in over here. It's all lapped over top of each other. And I put a little extra on this. I'm going to turn it around. Right on the edges, I'm going to wire tie 1/2 inch and 5/8 rebar together. Right on the edges here. So you can see I left the in-floor heat off the edge. I'm going to be standing 2x6 walls up here. 2x6 walls over there. And then I'll build a second floor on this like a house. So I'll do like 2x8s, 2x10s for structural strength. It's about a 12-foot span. And then that way I can get some of this junk off this floor up on top here. So we'll do about 7 or 8 foot high ceilings, because these are 16-foot high size. It just give me enough to walk up through there. But that's all we got here for today. This video will probably continue over into the concrete pour day, which is in about a week. So see you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, so it's the next day for concrete pouring. I got everything prepped, hopefully. Turn the camera around, take a look at a few things here. Concrete's coming at 7, so I figured I better get up at 4 to make sure I'm ready. So I'm not cut out for concrete work. I couldn't sleep all night thinking about it, and just a lot of things have to go in play. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty accurate on everything, all the future layouts and stuff back there. But I'm backing off the concrete order just a little bit. Last pour we did 10.5 yards, and I had a bunch of extra, so I'm hoping my calculations, I'm just trying to back it off a 1/2 yard. I'm going to do 10 yards, and if I have to dump a little bit over the hill, that's the ultimate goal, is to have a little bit extra. But I did make a bunch of different little pads and stuff. We talked about them in a previous video there. So we're going to turn this around and check it out real quick, and then waiting for the concrete guys to come here, and concrete truck should be here in about ½ hour. So a lot of this, like I said, is all future stuff. You're better to do it than to regret it. Right now, this is just more for a wash stall area, keep the horses out of the mud and stuff, and like an area for the vets to take care of them. Because if you follow our channel, Most of our animals are rescues. So the only one that we actually bought was Jack, just so they all have a friend. And it's a pretty cool venture. It's nice to give back and help out. Concrete truck's here, we're gonna get moving. So we're using a 6-foot straight edge to crown around the floor drain there. So we're gonna keep moving on this. It's pretty wet load and the temperatures are down. So we got this guy here. He's holding down the pizza box, build a fire. So I like to accommodate my contractors. They're good guys. These guys work real hard through the week and they are good enough to come out and help me on the weekends. So we got pizza, beer, build a fire while we're waiting. And I'm gonna walk in here real quick and see. They're hitting it with a trowel right now, and then they got another tool on a post. It's called a Fresno. So that's what they're using right now. We'll turn around and take a look at it. Do you ever see those ones that swivel? So this right here is a 1/2 inch lower. So hopefully it's gonna drain down and there's gonna be a wall right over through here. I have it marked as a 12-foot by 12-foot area. And then this will be the feed room, tack room, everything, future possible bathroom. But everything turned out real nice, just a little wet. Denver, you reach out here? Reach out? You got my legs out? Yeah. Almost need another extension. Well guys, we live to fight another day. The concrete's done. Concrete, like the one video I said, it's hurry up and wait. So you hustle to get it all in and then, you sit around, bullshit a little bit, drink some beer, eat some pizza. We had a little fire. So it's kind of like hanging out with the boys. I'm gonna flip a camera around, show you exactly what we did and why we did it. So over here, we did a heavy texture so animals don't slip and fall. If you notice, there's a different finish. So this was a light trowel finish. I didn't want it super smooth, but we wanted it smooth enough that it could be cleaned easily. It's very hard to get dirt and stuff off of this type of surface. So right here is gonna be a wall, kind of right off this expansion joint. This worked out kind of perfectly. And then here, I don't know if you could see the taper, but there's a 12-foot wash stall area here. So this is gonna be a 12-foot wash stall area with a cross through. So that's gonna be a building We're gonna put a floor up top there just for some storage. And over here is going to be more storage and a sick stall, like in case we have an animal that shouldn't be near any of the other ones. We're gonna put it over here. It's gonna be some storage. So that's how everything turned out perfect. Again, I mean, I couldn't be more pleased, and saved a ton of money prepping myself. And you know, this is exactly what we're looking for. So you can't ask for much more. All right, guys, that's a wrap on this video. So like always, we appreciate you following. Tomorrow, I'm gonna jump on the quickie saw, and I may give that walk behind quickie saw another shot. It was a little bit hard to use it here because the first pour was 12 foot wide, and then I didn't have a flat surface to work on, so I was cutting from the middles over, and then I was covering my chalk marks. So now that I can work off a flat surface, I may be able to run across there. The quickie saw is working much better. We got some good fuel in it. Fingers crossed, I do believe it was bad fuel. So if I can get that quickie saw operating properly, that probably is the best way, because this is very critical cuts. We have, I'm gonna flip the camera around. We have two very critical cuts, three, because I have to cut a relief joint here, because the way that concrete goes back there, it's gonna probably crack because of the width of that. But there's in-floor heat tubing in here now. So I took a bunch of pictures. I tried to lay these lines out and walls where there's no in-floor heat. So when you drive a fastener down, plus we'll glue the wall down, but you can't go too deep because you will cut the tubing, and that will be a nightmare if you do that. So that's gonna be jumping over into tomorrow. That will finish out this video. So we're doing a prep, pour, and cut video all in one. It's gonna be a total of 3 days in this video. So catch you guys tomorrow. All right, guys, we're running out of good weather here. So this is the third step. It's gonna be one video, it has prep, pour, and cut. We're not gonna get real involved in this because I'll leave a link down in the description of cutting relief joints and concrete and stuff from a previous video. But I did find some tips and tricks that I thought would be very helpful moving forward. And surprisingly, I don't feel too bad. Like the last video, from pouring into the cutting video, I felt horrible, and there might be something behind that. I'm not gonna get into it in details. If it's something you guys wanna hear about, I started this 16-8 fasting program. You don't eat anything for 16 hours, then you eat in moderation for 8 hours. It's helped me tremendously with inflammation, stuff like that. This isn't a promotion video. This is something that I found out of research that has helped me. So if it's something you're interested in, let me know. So we're gonna flip the camera around and look at it. It is beautiful. These guys, they're professionals. There's nothing else you could say about it. You know, people tell me, oh, your plumbing's great, and I just say, hey, it's my job. These guys are modest too. They just think they're doing their job as well. But it looks beautiful, very happy with it. Thank God I was able to keep all the animals off it. I didn't film it yesterday, but man, I was chasing chickens, cats. I told Keisha, I said, are you trying to give me a heart attack? Like, these animals are determined to destroy this job. But we got them away from here, and this is the tricks that I want to just, share with you guys, because if you're doing multiple pads, you want your relief joints to line up. This makes sense, right? So we spent a bunch of time laying that first one out, and I'll leave links down in the description on pulling center every 10 feet. I mean, that's, if you do this work, if you don't, you'll be able to check that video out. I was like, oh man, I got to cut this concrete next day. So I was like thinking, well, I'm just going to lay my chalk line in the existing cut and then eye it down through. So that's exactly what I did. Here's a little trial and error. And then what I did on the backside is just got a concrete pin and just laid it right down in there, put the string around it, and it worked out perfect. So I'll show you one. I got to do this one, and then I'm going to face my demons with this concrete saw. The last video, I struggled with it. The quickie saw wasn't running right. We did dive into that. It may have just been bad gas. I talked about how I took a bunch of tools to a specific dealer, and a lot of things come back with problems. it still was their gas in there. It was some blue Keller gas. I don't know if it's the steel Keller gas or not. We dumped all of it out. We run non-ethanol fuel in our stuff with Klotz R50 oil, and knock on wood, it's been running great. So this is the concrete walk-behind saw, and my dilemma whenever I used it was I had nowhere to go with it, and it uses wheels. So I had to make a cut from here to here, here to here, and what was happening is I was blowing dust on my marks, covering them up. So now I'm gonna try it, set it up on the cured concrete, and walk it out and cut it. This is very crucial cutting from here over because there's in-floor heat tubing in there. You know, I did screw up cutting this when I did it by hand. I went a little bit deeper. If there would have been in-floor heat tubing in there, guaranteed I'd have hit it. But that's why I'm using it. I'm gonna set the depth on it, and we're gonna try to be as critical as possible from here down to here. Once we get out the backside of the barn here, I'm still gonna use the saw if it works out good, but it's not as crucial. And then this is all dished out. It's gonna be hard to see through camera, but we're gonna cut some corner points. And this may be stuff that I'll just show afterwards. I mean, how many times can you watch someone cut expansion joints and stuff? So I am gonna show you real quick how I did this, because this was gonna be a huge time saver. I'm gonna chalk all these lines in probably in less than 10 minutes by myself. So I'm gonna get that set up and we'll get, all right, let's get this transferred over. You can leave this a little bit out so you don't keep getting chalk on your hands. And then I'm gonna take this over to here. Drop that down in there. And this is where you want the chalk to start getting on the box. So you can see it dusting out of there. This is a new box, so sometimes you gotta run them in and out to get the chalk on the new line. So what I'll do is just eyeball it, and just pull that. There you go, guys. Just transfer my lines. The brush is over a little bit, but there's gonna be a wall there, so this is perfect. You know, I keep reverting back to, this is just a barn, but this is a pretty pristine concrete job. So it's not just a concrete job, it's a great concrete job for sure. All right, so we're gonna get that saw fired up and do a couple practice runs. Always do your practice run on something that's not critical, and then get your depth set, whatever. So we'll jump on this one here first. Once I start feeling a little bit comfortable, I may cut all this out and then do the crucial ones at the end there. It's just like anything. Practice a little bit and you get better, feel more confident. So you can see it worked out pretty good. It's pretty spot on. So I'm gonna do a couple more practice runs here, and then we'll get them cut. We'll talk about it afterwards. Well, things went a lot easier with that stand that I had a hard surface. The only place that I punted, you could see in that last clip that I did by hand, was these relief joints going to the drain in the middle there, because there was a 1/2-inch taper going down to there. So the cart wanted to start walking, if that makes sense. So I immediately bailed, pulled it out, cut them by hand. So flip it around here real quick. Everything cut real nicely. Measured the depth on that, went 3/4 of an inch. Pretty confident. I didn't hit anything. I'll probably air these up, obviously, before I get too far into plumbing them, but this is a next year's project for sure. Everything turned out nicely. I'm really pleased with how the cuts worked out. It might have been a little bit too green because of the cold weather. It chipped it a little bit, but the famous saying, it's just a barn. So this is way better than I could have done, because I contemplated tackling this myself, doing little pads at a time, but it actually would have been more expensive because a pallet of concrete is over $300 and some. So if you think about how many pallets and all the work, this is way smarter to do it like this. So like always, guys, we appreciate you watching. I'll leave a bunch of links down in the description of previous videos of prepping this, different ways. You know, my way may not be your way. So, you know, there's a million ways to get to a place. It's how you get there. I'm trying to do a lot of things cost savings. So some of the videos I used reclaim asphalt instead of gravel. Some people frown on that, but you know, like Jerry said, he's been in this industry for a long time, and I'm a plumber, so I jackhammer up floors. I've jackhammered up 2 inches of concrete in basements that had no cracks in it, no gravel, just dirt floors, and they were fine. So there's something to say about that. It's more compaction, in my opinion, than it is gravel and stuff like that. But we appreciate you guys watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Helps the channel grow, and if this is something that's educational, can help out with laying out chalk lines and stuff for prep, share it with your friends. Catch you guys on the next one. Take care.